Hello fashion lovers, welcome to KUVE'S Cut. In this tutorial, we're making a beautiful wrap leg dress. If this is something you're interested in, you want to sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. So I'm using 6 yards of Ankara fabric, that is a full wrapper, to make this dress, and I determined the width by the hip measurement, and I added extra 25 inches to the round hip measurement. So you can see this, I folded it in two, and this is the closed part of it. I'm just going to fold it over like this, and this is the mark I made for the zipper allowance. It's about 2 inches. So I'm just going to fold this over to that point, that is the zipper allowance. And then to cut the flare, I'm just going to take the round waist measurement and divide it by 6. So I'm just going to find the point where that measurement is going to fit in. That's where I'm going to start marking the length of this flare. This is basically how you're going to go about this, exactly how you would go about cutting any other flare dress. And I just measured the point where the waist measurement divided by 6 fit in, and it's about 9 inches away from the tip of the fabric. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it around like this, and that will be the waist of this flare. That's the top of it. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to draw out the line. So there I have the top of the garment, and I just make this mark to mark the wrong side of the fabric. So yeah, next I'm just going to take the full length of the lower part of the dress, that is the flare. I'm just going to take the full length. Now I'm just going to minus the upper bodice from the full measurement. So that's why you're seeing my tape placed like that. So the upper bodice is about 15 inches. So I started my measurement from 16 inches because there's going to be 1 inch allowance on the upper bodice. So that's just what I did here. And as you can see that one side of the fabric is longer than the other. This is normal when you're cutting a big flare. So I'm just going to measure how long it is. That is the one that's longer than it. I'm just measuring how long it is, so that I'm going to go ahead and attach another fabric to the upper layer to match the length of the lower part of it. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just go ahead and cut this out right now. And do not forget to notch the midpoint of the center front and the zipper point. That's where the zipper allowance started. Very important. So that's just what I've done so far. Now next I'm just going to take I'm also going to notch that part where I'm going to attach another fabric, so it can be easier for me to locate later. Now I have gone ahead to attach the fabric. As you can see now, it's the same length. It's same length with the lower part. I just did that, and this is how it's looking like. So yeah, after this I can go ahead and take the full length of the flare. Remember to minus the upper body's measurements. I already did that earlier, so that's how I knew how I'm supposed to place my tape. That's why you can see that I started the measurement from number 1, that's 1 inch right down. I didn't minus it here, but I already know how long the flare is going to be. So yeah, this is what you're going to do. You're just going to mark it round and draw out the lines and cut it out. And after cutting it out, this is what I have. This is what is given right now. I'm just going to place this on the lining and cut it out, making sure the lining is shorter by 1 inch. So now back to the upper bodice, that is the shirt. I have my positions already laid out on the fabric. That is the bust point of 10 inches, the under bust, the waistline, and 1 inch allowance. So this is the positions I've gotten so far. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go in by, and also this is the center front, we all know, and that is the zipper allowance of about 2.5 inches. I made it 2.5 inches because of the half inch I'm going to reduce for the zipper bulge at the back, so that I'll have enough room for that. So next I'm just going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement of 8 inches, and I'm just going to make a mark there, and I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I'll make a mark for the neck width of 4 inches, and then from there I'm just going to create the slant, the shoulder slant. Next I'm going to take the neck depth of 1 inch for the back neckline. So I'm just going to draw the back neckline depth on the both sides, on the both panels, because we have the front and the back panels right now, but I'm drawing it but I'm not going to use it for the front panel, so I'm just drawing this out. Next I'm going to mark 2 inches upward on the bust points. That will serve as the chest line, so, and it's going to also serve as the armhole depth. So yeah, I'm just going to make the same thing at the center front and make a straight line to connect that. And then I'm going to also measure the same measurements I have on the shoulder on that chest line, just so I can create my armhole. So I just did that, and I'll just connect the two lines together. Next I'm going to find the midpoint of this point and make a mark there, and I'll go in by 1 inch and then connect. And on the bust point I'm going to mark my round bust, the quarter of it that is divided by 4, and I'll make a mark there. So I'm just going to connect this 3 dots now, the round bust measurement, the shoulder, and the point where I went in by 1 inch. I hope you understand this. And I'm just going to use the French curve to create a nice armhole right there. Next, I'm going to go in by the nipple to nipple measurement on the bust line, under bust and waistline. That is half of the nipple to nipple measurement. In this case, I'm using 4 inches. So I'm making this mark on all the lines, and I will draw a straight line to connect it all together. I'm doing this to create my dot. So yeah, after creating this, I'm going to go up by 1 inch from the under bust line. I'll just go by just 1 inch because we don't want our dart to reach the bust point itself. So I'll just go by 1 inch from the under bust, and I'll make a mark there. That's where my dart is going to stop. And on the dart leg, I'm just going to mark half of inch on each side of the line, and I'll connect it right to that point where I marked 1 inch upward. I hope you understand this. Just watch as I'm doing in the video for better clarification. So that is the dart right there. Next, I'm going to go in by my round measurements. I already marked the bust measurements on the chest line. I'm just going to add 2.5 to 3 inches allowance. Yeah, because this is for a plus size, you want your allowance to be more. It's better and safer that way. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the bust line, same measurements, and then plus the 3 inches allowance. And then on the bust, I'm going to mark the quarter of the under bust, and I'll replace the dart. I'll mark that point that's open and replace it plus 3 inches allowance. Do not forget to replace your dart. And then I will do the same thing on the waistline. I'll take the waist measurement divided by 4, replace the dart and extra 3 inches for the same allowance and ease. So this is what I've done so far, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect all of these lines. I'm sorry the lines are not so clear, but I hope you understand by my explanation. Next, we're going to create the zipper bulge reduction. So to do that, as you can see, the lines I marked on the waistline, I extended to the zipper allowance. Yeah, that is to know where the waistline is there. So at that waistline, particularly waist point, I'm just going to go in by ½ an inch, and I will mark it out by taking out ½ an inch from the zipper allowance on the waist point only. And then we're going to just blend it in right up. And from that point, I'm going to mark 2 inches just to make sure I have my 2 inches constant for the zip allowance. So next, I'm just going to cut this out. This is the zipper allowance. Do not forget to slit it open. So yeah, I'm just going to cut everything out, making sure you're careful not to cut through the lines. If you have watched to this point, I want to say a big thank you, and please consider subscribing, liking, and dropping a comment for me in the comment section. After cutting it out, now I'm just going to remove the pins and separate the back from the front panel. And I also notched the points of the zipper allowance for the back panel, so I'll keep that aside. Now we're going to work on the front panel. The first thing to do is to transfer the dart by making notches on the dart legs, just so I can locate it later. And then I'll also go ahead and make a notch at the middle point, that is the midpoint of the center front, and then we're going to need it later on. Now to create the neckline, it's a wrap dress, remember. I'm just going to mark the depth of the neckline, and this is about 6 inches, and I'm just go ahead and make a mark right there. I'm just making this line to know where I'll stop the curve. It's really not necessary. If you could just make your point, it's fine. I also marked 1 inch away from the side front. I'm sorry you could not see this, the camera did not capture it. So I'm just going to use the French curve to create a slight curve from the neckline to that point where I marked 6 inches, and then from there I'm just going to use ruler to connect it to the side where I marked the 1 inch. I hope you understand this. Just watch as I'm doing for better clarification. So that's what I'm doing right now. The curve is nice, so you're going to see the effect of this later on as we progress with the video. So there I have the neckline extended, and I'm just making marks on the notches I made earlier. So yeah, I'm just going to cut this following the line carefully. So I'm just going to cut this right through to the end where the line stops. Remember, the fabric is on the right side. This thing I did is on the right side of the fabric, not on the wrong side. So I'm just going to discard this other part, it's not needed. And then this one that is here right now, I'm just going to bring another piece of the fabric and place it on it, right side facing right side. Make sure it's right side facing right side so that you can have the other side when you cut it out. So this is what I'm just going to do here. I'm placing it right side facing right side, and I'll cut it out to get two plates. And then make sure you transfer the notches you made earlier and the center points, very important. So I'm done cutting this. I'm just going to transfer the notches to the other parts that I just finished cutting out, and also the center line. I want to notch it at the top also. Now when you open this up, right side facing right side, you're going to have two sides, and then you're going to place it making sure that the center notch you made at the midpoint earlier is matching the other part of it. So I'm just marking the wrong side of the fabric just for guide, and then I'll place it notch to notch, midpoint to midpoint. So next I'm going to cut the sleeve. I have this small fabric on fold of 4, and I'll just divide the round arm circumference by 6, and I will find a point where it's going to fit in. After getting the point where the armhole circumference is going to fit in, I'm just going to take the length of the flare. Now this flare is going to be kind of high-low. That is, some part is going to be higher than the other. So I'm starting with 12 inches. And as I'm proceeding, I'm reducing it to 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 respectively. So one side is going to be higher than the other side. You're going to see how it's going to look afterwards. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And I'll just remeasure this just to be sure. And I'll connect the lines and cut it out. Now this is what it's going to look like afterwards. I'll just go ahead and cut the second sleeve, and the lower part is going to face the arm directly, and the higher part is going to be outward. So yeah, this is what it's giving right now. I'll just take this to the sewing board and fix lining to all of this. Now I have gone ahead to fix lining to all of the panels, the front, back, and the flare with the sleeves also. So this is the back panel. I've gone ahead to take the darts at the back, and this is the zipper allowance. I've pressed it. So this is the front panel now. This is the armhole, remember, don't get confused. And this is the point we made a notch out earlier. So I'm just going to take note of that, and I'll place this midpoint to midpoint, that is notch to notch. So that's what I'm just going to do, and you can run a stitch at the lower part just to hold this in place. So I'm just going to pin it down, and yeah, so you see this part where the wrap effect is, yep. So this is what it's giving right now, and this part here you can use a hemming gum, place it, insert it inside, and just iron it down. It's going to be nicely laid down. And I've also taken the darts on this part also. So this is what it's giving right now, and you can see the nice curve I was talking about earlier. So on the skirt parts of the flare, I made a notch at the midpoint, and I also made a notch at the midpoint of the upper bodice. So I'm just going to place the back on the front panel to stitch it together. You want to take your body measurement first before running a stitch, and then I'm going to fix the zipper and join the upper bodice to the lower bodice, midpoint to midpoint. And then of course you're going to join the shoulders, the sides, and the upper bodies to the lower bodies, midpoint to midpoint. That's basically what we're supposed to do right now. And this is the sleeve. I'm just going to go ahead and also attach it, and that is all for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have watched this point, I want to say a big thank you. Please do well to subscribe, like, and drop a comment, and I'll see you in my next video.